Okay, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something that I think is super relevant to pretty much all of our listeners.
Absolutely.
And, those of you out there who are, real cannabis connoisseurs
Mm.
are always looking for ways to keep your stash as fresh and as potent as possible.
Of course.
And we've all heard, about TerpLoc, these, special bags designed for cannabis storage.
Right.
But have you ever wondered how they actually work?
Yeah.
Like, what's the science behind it? Well, today we're going to find out.
Awesome.
We're going to be looking at some really interesting research done by Veda Scientific, which is, one of the leading cannabis testing labs out there.
Yeah, they do great work.
And what's really cool about this study is that they took two popular strains,
Yep.
GG4 and ME,
Nice.
and they tracked them over a full 12 weeks comparing TerpLoc bags to the old standard mason jar.
Wow, 12 weeks. That's a significant amount of time
It is, yeah.
to really see how these storage methods perform.
So buckle up. You're about to learn how this tech really works and how it can help you keep your cannabis at its peak.
I'm excited to dig in.
Me too.
Yeah.
So one of the things that really stood out to me about this study
Yeah.
is that they use this, kind of a fancy method called two-dimensional gas chromatography.
Oh, yeah. That's some serious science.
It is. It's like, imagine taking a super high-resolution fingerprint of the cannabis.
Wow.
Like way more detail than anything we've seen before.
So they're looking at like the full chemical profile of the plant.
Exactly. And it allowed them to analyze dozens of different volatile compounds, including not just terpenes,
Uh-huh.
but also things like thiols
Okay.
and esters, which, we don't always hear about.
Yeah, that's really interesting because a lot of studies just focus on the terpenes and the THC,
Right.
but there's so much more going on in there.
Exactly. And these other compounds, they play a huge role in the overall quality and the experience of the cannabis.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this study is giving us a much more complete picture than we've ever had before.
It's like, how some people can tell if a wine is red or white,
Sure.
but a sommelier, they can pinpoint the specific grape,
Right.
the region,
Yeah.
maybe even the year.
Exactly.
This study is doing that for cannabis.
I love that analogy. That's a perfect way to put it.
So it's really taking things to a whole new level.
For sure.
So I'm curious then, we've talked about this analysis,
Right.
but how does TerpLoc actually, tie into all of this?
Well, the whole idea behind TerpLoc is to keep those compounds,
Okay.
all those volatile compounds that we're talking about,
Uh-huh.
intact for longer.
So they don't degrade over time.
Exactly. It's all about preservation.
Got it.
So the way it works is it creates kind of like a perfect little microclimate inside the bag.
Okay. Microclimate. That's interesting.
Yeah. And it's similar to, how you store like coffee beans or hops.
Oh, to keep them fresh.
Yeah, to lock in those aromas and flavors.
Yeah.
And TerpLoc uses this special material in the bag
Uh-huh.
that helps to control the levels of CO2 and oxygen inside.
So it's like creating this ideal atmosphere
Exactly.
for the buds to basically chill out in.
Yeah, they're happy in there.
No wonder they stay fresher longer.
Exactly.
That's so cool. So it's not just about, keeping the air out. It's
Yeah.
about creating this very specific environment.
It's about balance.
Yeah.
And what's even more interesting is that the plant material itself
Wait, what?
actually helps to regulate that environment inside the bag.
Wow. Seriously?
Yeah, it's like a self-sufficient system.
That's incredible. So
Yeah.
the plant is like working with the bag
They're a team.
to stay fresh.
Exactly. You see just like some fruits ripen best in a humid environment.
Right.
Cannabis has its own specific needs to preserve those precious compounds.
It's like each strain has its own little sweet spot
Exactly.
for optimal storage.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
It sounds like TerpLoc really takes all the guesswork out of storage.
It does. It makes it simple.
You don't have to be, a scientist to figure it out.
Right.
Did the study show like a noticeable difference in how well it preserved the cannabis compared to the mason jar?
Oh, absolutely. There were some really significant findings.
Like what kind of differences are we talking about?
Well, for example, after 12 weeks, they found that the cannabis stored in the TerpLoc egg has retained about 30% more mycene
Okay.
compared to the mason jars.
Wow, 30%. That's a lot.
It is. And myrcene is that terpene that's known for its earthy and musky aroma.
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
A popular one.
So that's just one example.
Yeah, just one of many.
Wow. So it's not just about keeping things fresh.
Right.
It's about preserving those really nuanced flavors and aromas
Exactly.
that really make a difference in the experience.
Absolutely. It's all about the details.
It's like, the difference between, just drinking a glass of wine and really savoring a fine vintage.
Exactly. You're getting the full potential of what that plant has to offer.
I love it. So what is it about, the terpelocity environment that really helps to preserve those compounds?
Well, it all comes down to controlling oxidation.
Oxidation.
You know how fruits and vegetables brown when they're exposed to air?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that happen in my fridge.
Right, so the same thing happens with cannabis.
Really?
Oxidation breaks down those delicate compounds,
Interesting.
leading to a loss of flavor, aroma, and even potency.
Oh, wow. So it's like the enemy of freshness.
It is.
And terpenes is like the shield.
Exactly. It creates a barrier against oxidation.
I like that, a shield against oxidation.
And by minimizing that damage, you're preserving the quality of the cannabis.
So it's kind of like a superhero cape for your cannabis?
I like it. I like it as superhero cape.
Protecting it from the evil forces of oxidation.
That's a great way to think about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we've learned a lot about oxidation.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to dive even deeper into how exactly terpenes creates that specialized environment inside the bag.
Let's do it. Yeah, so during the curing process, these terpenes bags, they act like, tiny gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers, I like that.
Yeah, selectively letting certain gases in and out to maintain that perfect balance of CO2, oxygen, and humidity.
So it's like a tiny greenhouse.
Yeah.
Designed specifically for cannabis.
Exactly like a little cannabis spa.
That's so cool.
It is, right?
So each element is carefully controlled
Precisely.
to create this optimal environment.
Yeah, it's like fine-tuning a musical instrument to get that perfect sound.
I love that. And
every little detail matters.
And the best part is you don't need like a PhD in chemistry to use this thing.
Exactly. It's super user-friendly.
You just pop your buds in the bag.
Yep.
And terpenes does the rest.
It's like having a personal bud tender.
Yeah.
Making sure your stash stays at its peak.
I love that. So it's convenient.
It is.
It's effective.
Absolutely.
And it's really taking the guesswork out of storage.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's a huge advantage.
Yeah.
Especially for, large-scale growers.
Yeah. Right.
Who need a reliable and efficient way to preserve the quality of their harvest.
It makes me wonder if this kind of tech could be applied to other things besides cannabis.
That's a great question.
Like, could it keep herbs and spices fresher for longer?
Yeah.
Or maybe even those delicate fruits that go bad way too quickly?
That's a fascinating thought. And I think the answer is likely yes.
Really?
The principles behind terpenes, controlling oxidation, creating an optimal environment, those could absolutely be applied to other agricultural products.
So it's not just limited to cannabis?
Not at all.
Oh.
We've already seen similar innovations in food preservation.
Like what?
Things like vacuum sealing and modified atmosphere packaging.
Right.
So it makes sense that this technology could extend to other areas.
It's like we're entering a whole new era of preservation.
I think we are.
Where we can keep things fresher for longer.
Yeah.
And really savor those nuanced flavors and aromas
Exactly.
that make them special.
Absolutely. And as we become more aware of the importance of preserving the full spectrum of compounds in our food and other agricultural products, technologies like terpenes could play a crucial role.
I'm excited for that future.
Me too. Imagine being able to enjoy strawberries in December.
Oh my God.
That taste like they were just picked from the field.
Okay, that would be amazing.
Right.
So for our listeners out there who might be wondering what this all means for them, what's the key takeaway? Should they be ditching their mason jars and switching to terpenes? So for our listeners out there who might be wondering what this all means for them, what's the key takeaway? Should they be ditching their mason jars and switching to terpenes?
Well, based on this research, it seems like terpenes offers a significant advantage when it comes to preserving the quality and potency of cannabis. So if you're serious about, getting the most out of your stash, these bags are definitely worth considering.
Yeah, it's like investing in a humidor for your cannabis. You're ensuring that those terpenes, those delicate flavors and aromas, stay locked in, giving you a more enjoyable experience every time.
Exactly. It's about appreciating the full potential of the plant.
Now, before we wrap up, I have one last thought to ponder. If terpenes is so effective at a commercial scale, could there be, a smaller version designed for home growers?
That's interesting.
It would be amazing if everyone had access to this technology, ensuring that even those small personal harvests get the royal treatment.
Yeah, that's a really intriguing question. And it would certainly be beneficial for home growers to have a way to maintain the quality of their buds just like the pros do.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see how this technology could be adapted for smaller batches of cannabis, making it accessible to a wider audience.
It would be like empowering everyone to become their own cannabis connoisseur, preserving those unique flavors and aromas that they've carefully cultivated.
Exactly.
Like, it's all about democratizing knowledge and making those tools and techniques that were once exclusive to industry insiders available to everyone.
Well, I think it's safe to say we've all learned a ton today about terplocy and the fascinating science behind keeping cannabis fresh. Who knew there was so much to learn about storing those little buds?
It's a reminder that there's always more to discover, even with something as seemingly simple as storage. Paying attention to these details can make a huge difference in the overall quality and enjoyment of cannabis.
Absolutely. So, to all our listeners out there, keep those minds curious, those deep dives going, and remember, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to enjoying your favorite herb.